Hey everyone, welcome to Recovery Unplugged Live. What's up, Amy?
Um,
How's your back?
uh, better than, I don't know if it's better than last night, but every time I move in the middle, like, it makes me want to say stuff.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll try to man the mute button as best I can.
Better, because
Let's hope the cat doesn't jump on you.
I was at Indie Gathering this past weekend virtually, and I was at the computer a lot. And Christina's asking me a question, and then all of a sudden my back spasms, and I go, "Oh, sleep."
They last that long, huh?
Yes, and it causes me to just lock up. I can't move at all.
Gotcha.
But
So,
I went to Indie Gathering this last weekend. Megan didn't win,
how
but
was the festival?
For a virtual festival, it wasn't too bad because they had breakout. They actually had like Google Hangout, and they had things like called the lounge, the lobby, and they had Zoom, like a couple of Zoom rooms. They had a couple of Zoom rooms, a couple of Google Hangout rooms, and they named them different things. And they had the pool, which was really just a chat room where it's like a chat board, and
Right.
so. I was interviewed, but my computer was not like right. I had to borrow. I'm on my dad's computer tonight. That's why I'm.
What
not.
platform did they use to
They
pull it
used.
off?
I have no idea what they did, but they did. The name of the site was, I think it was off their own site really, and integrating a lot of things. That WEO is World E Online, which is kind of like the umbrella they do business under, and it was www.weovirtual.com, and it took you to the homepage, and like in one they had the screening rooms, which you could watch them at any time that during the day. It's like you didn't have to necessarily watch them at the scheduled time,
Mm-hmm.
but they had like fillers, so it like if you did want to watch them as on time, you could. And it was really, of the virtual festivals I've gone to, which have sucked royally. And I didn't go to Branson last year, and I saw all the comments on her Film Freeway page, and that said they were great. So I'm gonna trust that Branson was fantastic. Were you live?
Last year? So no. So lockdown happened 4 weeks before festival, and like everybody's making these shifts. And I talked to my team and I was like, you guys, if all the festivals in the spring move to the fall, that's going to be a nightmare for all the festivals that are already scheduled for the fall. Do you want to try virtual and see what happens? So we did, and we made it free for everybody. So that way, if anything happened and it tanked horribly, then we did great customer service, right? And then everybody that had bought tickets for the physical ones get to come to this year's live. So
yeah, I just want to tell
Cool.
you, I bought an extra ticket
uh-huh.
for a general pass. I thought I was good, that I needed it for the couple, but my aunt's health has gotten to the point where she doesn't feel comfortable traveling that long. So, so with the extra pass, I'd like to gift it to. My cinematographer and his wife are coming, so give Mark Manis and Janet Manis. So one of them can have the pass because Mark said he wanted it, and I said, "Hey, I'm offering up a free pass." It wasn't free for me, but it was discounted.
Yeah. So can you do me a favor and because that's not in my lane. That's
not your lane. Who do I email?
Just shoot me a message. I'll send it to Sherry. She'll get it taken care of.
Okay. So
This isn't business.
I'm so sorry.
Not you. Not you. The host.
Okay, so let's talk about Branson, because that's the festival coming up next. We were nominated for at Branson. Let me tell you how much I love Branson. They nominated us for DP, Best DP, Well, best cinematography. Best lead actress Megan, best supporting actress Anna Maria. That surprised me, but not because she's not a fantastic actress, just because she doesn't have a lot of screen time. So, but I was thrilled because Anna Maria worked hard. John, Anna Maria worked.
She worked. I mean, she worked sound. She worked key grip, and she acted.
Yeah, she was amazing on that set.
Yeah. Yeah, she was.
So the fact that she got the nomination, and she's a nurse, so she's on the front side, like on the front line of all this COVID stuff, and it's been incredibly hard for her. So like she's coming with her best friend to Branson, so she's on her way. So the people, right? The only Brandon can't come, who is nominated for best supporting actor, and what else? And best film score for feature. So Valio can't come because of the lockdown situation over in Europe. He's from Bulgaria. But I told him, hey, you got nominated. I messaged him. I said, what time is it there?
We still need to do another Valio episode soon.
Yeah, we do.
So we can check in with him, make sure he's okay.
He's going to be the composer on the Guardian film.
Wow.
Nice.
That is really nice to be able to pay him back for something like that. I can actually say that. And then we've got a table where I'm going to be selling my books at Branson, and I'm just looking forward to that weekend.
When is it?
April 22nd through the 24th.
And where is it?
Branson, Missouri.
Where's Branson?
I don't know. I wouldn't have had any idea. I would have had to Google it.
So what's the venue? I think that's what he means. What's the venue? Where's the festival being held?
Sure. So it's at Grace Community Church on Gretna Road. It's there's the Mansion Theater, Sight and Sound Theater, and then the church is right there. There's an Amish store across the street to get yummy food, and White House Theaters.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
That's a cool. You have a cool bunch of buildings for the festival. That's awesome.
Yes, there's a lot, like really close, within walking distance. The hotel's like a block and a half away. It's interesting because people in Branson know that like that region of the city, I don't want to say it's off the beaten path, but it is kind of off the beaten path because it's not on the strip. Okay, because like the strip is like miles and miles and miles of stage theater type of productions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's something about this region. The Meadows is there that has, I believe, 7 different theaters in their movie theater base. But I believe it's still shut down from COVID. It hasn't opened yet. But there's something about that section of our town, because we only have 10,000 people that live here. But we have 2.5 million people that come through every month during our on season. So, and that starts ramping up April, May, and then all the way to the end of the year. It's crazy cool. So
it's Comfort. Look, I haven't called I keep forgetting to call the hotel back. It's Comfort Inn, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So everybody who is going to get a room, and it's like just like right across the street or a couple of.
Yeah, it's like a block and a half, not even. Like you could walk.
Oh yeah, you can. Okay. So
if you wanted to, but there are hills. So just for an FYI, it's not flat.
Yeah,
plan accordingly.
John, have you been to Gatlinburg?
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Branson,
cool.
Southwest corner, Missouri, similar to Gatlinburg.
Cool. We'll have to definitely. It's with that many people going through and having that many theaters and stuff. Yeah, that would be fun.
I'll tell you,
especially when my kids are a little bit older, it'd be a perfect getaway.
The thing that really makes me feel better is how you have these strict COVID compliance things going on. I would not go if it was mask off. I know you have like places where it's safe to do that with, right? But I like where everybody's going to be. You have to have a mask on. You have to have sanitizer. You're taking our temperature. That kind of stuff. I'm sorry. That just makes me feel better. Even though I'll have been fully vaccinated and out of the quarantine window from my vaccination, by then, it just makes me feel better because I had it and I know how bad it was. So,
well, and we've got 3 guest speakers on Thursday kicking everything off that have compromised immune systems, and if they got sick, I would take it personal. So anything I can do to protect everybody, I'm going to do it.
my cinematographer, Mark Manis, said he would be willing to give a workshop or a seminar if you wanted him to.
So that might happen next year because so you know how I've been saying, well, it's not my lane, somebody else is doing it. Delegating things out. Next year's our 5-year anniversary.
Ooh.
And I want to do it 5 days. And
5 days. Wow.
She's kind of like, let's talk about that after this festival.
Hey, I'm a part of AOF. So I know John's got to.
We gotta do the tribute for Michael Jenkins, and then then let's kick off the actual interview
with Old King Code.
Okay, so we'll be back in 2 minutes. So we're gonna do a minute.
Michael Jenkins.
Yeah.
Michael was my friend in high school. He was a coach. He was, as Tim put it, he was someone who could. What he remembered was one time making a certain kind of statement, and Michael was African American, so he kind of pulled, and Tim was not, but Michael kind of gently pulled them aside, corrected him, and said, "Listen, you're a white man. You can't feel a black man's pain because you just don't know it." But he said, but at the same time, by the time he finally talked to him, he said at the end of that conversation, he called Tim his brother. So Mike was, and he came to the church screening. We were high school friends, and I sat with him. I sat with Mike and his best friend Andre, and they called me their Daria to their Beavis and Butthead.
That's a term of endearment, really, in a lot of ways.
I'm surprised I didn't cry, because I cried. It was awful. Saturday, I was crying off and on all day.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to have just a minute tribute to Michael Jenkins, and then we'll show the trailer to Old King Cole, and Amy will be back to interview Deborah Watson.
I tried to talk to my piano, I tried to talk to my guitar, talk to my imagination, confided into alcohol. I tried and tried and tried some more, told secrets till my voice was sore. Tired of empty conversation, 'cause no one hears me anymore. 100 million stories and 100 million songs. I feel stupid when I sing. Nobody's listening to me. Nobody's listening. I talk to shooting stars, but they always get it wrong. I feel stupid when I pray. So why am I praying anyway? If nobody's listening anyway, please send me anyway. Lord, is there anyone? I need someone. Anyone, please send me anyway. Lord, is there anyone? I need someone.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Hi. So, welcome to Recovery Unplugged. This is Deborah Watson from Branson International Film Festival. She is also, as we said, a filmmaker. There is something very interesting that you were talking to me about that included being international. Is that kind of close to the vest, or is that something you want to talk about? Or
Hey, I am usually an open book, so you just ask away, my sister. And
okay, so as you know, there are film festivals, and I am someone. When people, I just there was a certain point where it was like diminishing returns. Like if like someone like I don't know if you are, but I'm a director, and I'm always getting requests for free waivers, and it's like it's like, oh, do I give it to them? Do you really? And because there's at some point you just really have to say no, unless it's a judgment call. It's a judgment call usually, but usually I have to just say no, because it's usually from countries that there's sanctions or there's something, and I'm like, I'm not gonna rock the boat here. But you have found something in you, and there are some film festival directors and filmmakers in other countries that usually do not get in here, and you're trying. You didn't think, oh, I'm going to shut them down. I'm going to try to help them help themselves. So tell my audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought you were talking about something else. So it is a challenge, because I'm just going to throw it out there. For our festival, it's about $34,000 to do a 3-day event. Okay, there, you guys have the numbers. For us, and so when Deborah likes everybody to win, and she likes everybody to be included, and I was going to bury the festival if I wasn't careful. So we had to put up some boundaries where we do a certain percentage. So we allow a certain number of waivers for every country and every state. And once those waivers are used up, they're used up. And we just have to say, I'm sorry, we don't have any for this year, but please get on board on the early bird for next year. Like, I feel like communication is so key. And one of the things that we're exploring this year is to have like festival hubs in other countries, because it is so expensive to travel. And now with COVID, there's other things that come into play. And the first country, and I'm not going to say what it is a communist country. We do have sanctions against them. We do give them waivers, because you're not supposed to do any business back and forth. So there's no money exchanging hands or anything like that.
Right.
And I finally asked them though, Amy, because it was kind of weird in my head, because I know what we've been fed about this country, and I see what's on the media, and it's like, why would they want to submit films, Christian films too, to a Christian film festival? And of course, my husband, he's so awesome. He's like, because they're not really Christians, and they're just trying to sneak over here and da 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 da. And I was like, maybe,
but I don't think that's the case.
It's too expensive to create a film to do it for that.
Yeah,
and
right.
we're in Branson, Missouri, so why would they want to come to Branson?
Yeah.
So I asked them. I finally was just like, you know what? I'm just going to ask them. It's like, why in the world would you want to? And they said, are you kidding me? It is because of the United States, and that we even have media and film here in our country. It's an honor for us to give back. And I'm like, time out. I have a misconceived idea of how they view us, or else they're really good actors and actresses. One of the two.
No, the truth is,
they have a heart, and we've got sanctions against one country right now because of their government is refusing to do anything about human rights violations that are happening there. So in 2019, Trump put some sanctions up. I didn't know that though, until I had already committed to creating like a film festival hub. So that way some of our teachers can, stream out to their country But then we can also have opportunity for them to get their stories out. And that humbles my heart, Amy, because I have a huge passion for injustice. Justice has to be served. You know what I mean? Justice for all. Whether I agree with their platform or not, that's what makes America so great, you know? And to be able to create a way while the governments are fighting with each other and arguing over stuff, and rightfully so, to be honest.
Yeah.
That traps the people, though. And when we put the sanctions up, and it encapsulates them in the problem without being able to get their voice out. And so I'm just kind of excited to see what's going to happen in the future because of it. So,
okay, now that other thing we were talking about before. Okay, so oftentimes I think, like, in any medium, in any film you do, as a writer, I am a firm believer in story first. Doesn't matter what your message is. If you get your story across, the message, you need it to be organic, or it feels forced. It's not good. The aesthetics of film aren't like good. Like, so I'm a writer. I'm a writer first. And what I believe is, like, right, I had a message in my film, obviously. It was, get help. Help is out there. People, this is not a bad thing. But I had to be careful with how I wrote it and with how it was shot and how it was acted. And I was very particular about that. And I think the problem with not all faith-based films, because that's just not, it's like it's with anything, it's not all, but there is a large percentage of faith-based films which put message first, and it's a good message, but unfortunately the message gets away from the story. And I think if you put the story first and kind of blended that message in, you would have more of an impact. You would have, right? You would actually accomplish your goal much better, instead of you're sitting here watching a movie and it feels like, you're connecting the dots, painting by number. When I go to a movie, I want to be transported, and if I'm thinking message, that obviously I'm not being transported. I want the message to kind of go to me organically, and maybe after the film it compels me to talk and everything. And there are some, I think, some flaws, that I think there's some drawbacks that Christian filmmakers could actually learn, and writers could learn something from secular ones, or people who told secular stories. But what do you think? You run a Christian film festival.
Oh, sure.
And you see all kinds of films.
Yeah. And so I'm going to be transparent as a filmmaker. In fact, a producer from Nashville helped me see this. I was super excited because we were doing our first full feature, and I was going to be paying our cast and crew, like for our cast, double what they normally make here in our region. Okay. Super excited, right? Because I'm like, right. Yes, I've arrived. I'm going to be able to be a blessing to these other people. And this producer from Nashville came in and he looked at my numbers and he's like, how could you treat people so cruel? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm paying them double. He's like, you are so under budget. He's like, you're cheating them out of fair market salary. And he just really spoke some wisdom into my world. And I realized I need to wait. Don't like waiting. I like to be in the fast lane. I like to get her done, but I needed to wait, make sure the funding comes in, pay them what they're really worth, and have it come out correctly. I've never had children, okay, Amy? But right. I have heard the stories. You can, and I've seen what happens with premature birth. And if you wait too long, you got this big giant baby that causes a lot of pain. Yes. And I think we get so excited about the fact that we have the story. and we have other people around us that are excited. We're like, you know what? I'm going to feed you pizza, and I'm going to make sure that you got clothes on your back and that you get out there, and we're going to make a movie. And they do it not knowing the 180 rule, not knowing anything about depth of field. They think they can just take their cell phone and everybody in the theater is going to love it.
You can these days. The big movie makers are taking their cell phones. I will say this. I think in order to get to where the point you're at, like where you're to the point where you were ready to hear that, you were ready to make that move. It's like, right. I talk about transparency. We shot 23 movies before we did Letters to Daniel. All of them were under $1,000.
Wow.
Right? We're housing them in our house. We're stacking them up like cordwood. We're cooking meals at the house. They were fed well. They were probably given a nominal amount of gas money. And we would shoot crazy amounts in a day. And then we did Letters to Daniel, had more days than I'd ever had to shoot. We shot a 90-page script in 6 days for $6,000. And that was because that was me and Missy called that our home run swing, in that we put all of the connections that we had made at festivals and friendships and everything, and put it to our advantage. I said, and this will help us take because it was for the next step up, right? You know, I've realized that. And the next film I'm on, I'll tell you what the budget is. It's well, the way it's said in Hollywood, it's just under $1 million, but it's budgeted at $250K.
Nice.
So, but as you said, you know, so please keep going. You have lots of wisdom to share.
Oh, I don't know if it's wisdom or just I've hit the wall so many times. It's like, okay, I get it, you know, because I did. Okay, so here's a process that I was taught. You have to, you guys, if you're going to do a film, get your vanity production out of your system. Get it out. Do it. It's all for vanity. Everything is but a vapor in this world. So just get it out of your system and do it. Experience it. Flow with it. Have that experience. And then make that decision. Either this is going to be a hobby and I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to make money with it, but I'm going to have a lot of fun. It's going to bring me some self-satisfaction and gratitude, or I'm going to run it like a business and I'm going to get my business education and I'm going to know the business. Both ways are totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it being a hobby.
And this goes back to your festival.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about, we talked about this festival, and there's nothing wrong with this festival or their vision for it. When I go to ICFF, I love getting dressed up for the award ceremony, and I probably won't go to the award ceremony this year because I'm not nominated, but if anybody's going and wants to go, I've got 2 tickets. You can have them and I'll tell, but I am going to ICFF. So, because I want to go to Florida, right?
Yeah.
And I'm officially selected and I'm going to sell my books at ICFF.
That's awesome. It's a great festival.
Yes, it's like big. It's like they call it the Christian Oscars. And it's huge and it's big, and they do this thing. And I was nominated I submitted a proof of concept trailer for next year to you guys. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called The Guardian, but you know how they put the nominees up on the screen at the Oscars. Well, they kind of did that that year I went. And it was really cool. You hear your name called, and last year I was I didn't think about that. They have the filmmaker. I have to watch the nominations again to see if I really didn't get any. I think because there was like this People's Choice Award, and it's kind of like a popular vote. But anyway, but you, like you said, when we were talking online, you said you went and you said, but this isn't what, you know, I feel like God.
Oh, what our goal is. Yeah.
Your goal is. And there's room. And I recently, there's some festivals out there that will say, my festival is the only way you can do it. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like ICFF says that. I don't feel like AOF says that. And I don't feel like you say that. I think you say God made room for all of these, right?
Yeah.
They all address a different need. They all address, and they're in some festivals aren't the greatest. Some will be out to do a money grab, but you know, your festival, I'm going to plug your festival right now. Right now, Branson International Festival fees to submit for next year are very cheap. And you should, if you've got a faith-based film or an inspirational film or a music video, just go and see if you have any of the categories or a script or whatever. And look at how much it is, because you're like you said, you want to grow filmmakers, you want to educate them. And I feel like you do, that there's room for all these festivals because they mean something to each person, like each person who goes.
Yeah.
So why don't you speak to that yourself?
Sure. So in fact, it's one of those things as a filmmaker, because I'm so passionate about budgets and the bottom line, and I know how much it costs to go to festivals, because you got to buy your tickets, you also got to get there, you got your food and travel, and I would love to be able to pay for nominated people to come, but there's only one festival that I'm aware of, and that's in Korea. So if you want a festival to pay your way, submit to the Korea International Film Festival, and if you're nominated to win, then they will fly you over to Korea, because that's what their tourism is doing. But for us, we're trying to keep the budget as low as possible without going bankrupt. And it's a challenge, because it's like, okay, I'm just going to call out on Chris Maragudagis and some of his friends over in Athens, Greece.
Okay.
They came first year. Okay. First year, small. 5 people from Athens, Greece flew out here. Chris came back the second year. The second year I asked him, I said, Chris, why did you come back? And he said, Deborah, the heart of this city is just, you have to be here. And I was like, okay, how much does it cost you to come? And he told me. And so I let a couple of hours go by. I was like, hey, Chris, if I were to hire you as a composer, what does a composer or a musician like you or somebody in your field make? And he says, Deborah, in our country, people in my field and the general median income is around $500 a month. Okay, let that kind of sink in. He makes $500 a month. It costs him $1,500 to come to the festival. He spent 3 months' salary to come to festival. I was like, Chris, I have to know why. Why would you? I mean, to me, I think that's absolutely absurd why he would do that. He's like, because I know what my music is worth, and I am investing in my life, and I know you guys care. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And he's going to grow because of it, because he knows his worth and his value of his work. And I hope that's what we're able to do, no matter what level they're at. And that's why we have judges from around the world that are our judges.
Okay. So he's a composer, right? Is he simply a composer, or does he do other stuff?
So for him, for employment, he is a musician and a composer, and he teaches music.
Okay. So what I would like for you to do is recommend AOF to him to check out. They're still accepting submissions for the year 2021. If he sees nominations come out for 2020, that's because we're doing a hybrid festival. But that right, and it's actiononfilm.com. It's actiononfilmfest.com. actiononfilmfest.com. And we are actually AOF Megafest is actually 15 festivals in one. So different festivals take music compositions, songs. If he's a songwriter, if he does orchestral music, and it doesn't even have to be related to a movie.
Okay.
They just want to look. They really honor art, and I think it's just.
Can we sidestep there for a hot second?
Yeah.
because you're part of that festival with the disabilities.
Right.
I would love to talk about that because
Okay.
we have Cale Farron that I can't wait for him to meet you and vice versa.
Okay.
Going to be at festivals. So tell me more about that, because I think that is definitely a people group that is overlooked in the industry big time.
Okay. So Conquering Disabilities with Film, International Film Festival. I was given the Founders Award in 2019 by Action on Film Megafest, AOF Megafest, by Dell and Teresa Weston. Check these people out. And I've been going there. It's like you said, when you feel loved, where you feel supported, where you feel like you're growing, you want to go back. You want to. It's kind of addictive, you know. You feel that love and you feel that support, and you just want to be surrounded by it. So that's what my first AOF Megafest was like in 2016. It just kind of blew me away. And they provide, and over the years, they provided, it's like a free market. They have all these opportunities, right? And, but they don't spoon feed you them, but there's 50 workshops, there's like 50 seminars over the course of the week, right? And there's going to be at least 2 seminars taught from my festival. Linda Arnold, my talent manager, she's going to speak. And I'm going to speak what it's like to have serious mental illness and to pursue this kind of thing. The disability, it can be obvious physical, you know, where you look at someone and there is a physical disability or a different ability. And then there's the invisible disabilities like bipolar disorder, and physical ones like fibromyalgia, and, you know, health. You know, if you have a problem with substance abuse, or you're in recovery and you want to do a project. And for me, when they awarded this to me, it was based on my body of work. And so that body of work consisted of, I treated it, even though I was always trying to get to where I could make letters to Daniel. All these other films where I made them, that's where I learned, right? I did 2 film workshops, and then I made 23 movies, and they were all under $1,000. And no, they didn't get much, but I always made sure they were on IMDb. I always made sure they had their screen listing. I always made sure they were fed. I always made sure they had gas. I always made sure they were right. So in the beginning, you do gather your friends. You do it for nothing. I did a series of movies, and then I hadn't, you know, I hadn't submitted letters to Daniel yet because it was 2019 and we were still in the process of editing and getting the sound right and all that. So the festival itself, they created the Founders Award because of me. And they said, you need to name your festival. And the great thing is I have used one of the people I met at AOF, Clint Gage, was one of my biggest mentors next to my cinematographer, you know, Mark Manis. Clint was incredible in the editing room on my film. And I worked with him in certain stages. And it you know, when you learn from other, you know, you learn to work with other people, and people pull you forward. And like I found, and I'm hoping I got opportunities at AOF. The reason I have a manager, the reason why I have our television series based on letters to Daniel, it's in development, and a daytime Emmy winner is looking at it and helping us with it. And The Guardian is happening, and there's a 3rd script that is at a production company receiving coverage right now. So all of that is a direct back to AOF, and they you know it's the universe and God have a very funny sense of humor.
Yes, it does.
I said to Missy right before I left, I said, you know, and I don't know if I said, I think I'm content with being a participant, right? With being a filmmaker. I don't think I've seen some of the sausage being made. I said, I don't know. I don't think I don't want the responsibility. I said, I don't want the responsibility of running a film festival. Yeah. I get first day, I touch down in the airplane. I go to the dinner with Dell and he comes out to me. We get a big hug. He says, you've won something, but you don't know what it is yet. And then he told me what it was when I was standing up, and I was like, oh, right. He goes, you're going to get a festival that serves the same community that you're a part of. And I just was like, oh, I just told Missy. Yeah. I just told Missy I wasn't ready for this, but it happens. It happens when it happens. And so
that's what I like to call, I'm jumping over the hurdle and I'm so sick and tired of knocking it over. I'm just going to take it and throw it off the field so I can just plow straight ahead. But somebody else had to throw the hurdle off your little lap thing.
Yeah. With Letters to Daniel, that's what it's like. We were always saying we had setbacks, and we were always like, we want it to be the perfect moment. Let me tell you, this is to the audience, not you, because you know this. It's never going to be the perfect moment. You're just going to really, you're going to have some kind of faith that, right? And you're going to have, it's like Dan O'Shannon, he wrote on Cheers and won a Golden Globe for Frasier and stuff like that. And he said, if you don't have ambition, there's nothing wrong with ambition. You got to find something that drives you, right? Because it's not a kind industry, and even in the faith-based industry, sometimes it's not so kind. So, because I had two men who do films that if I said their names, you would know who they were. And They told me I was never going to get Letters Daniel made as long as I insisted on directing. And it's
a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? I'm glad you didn't choke on it.
No,
to be brutally honest, I haven't seen it all the way through.
Oh,
because there's so many hours. There's only so many hours in the day, right? And that's why I lean on the judges so much to trust them to do what they do. Because it's one of those things, every single work that we do, it causes us to grow. And you're so spot on that you can see it and you can tell it. And when you shared with me about the one that was nominated for Best Supporting, and that she did other things, even as a nurse, as soon as you said that, I was like, I bet you they totally picked up on that, because those are the things our judges look for. They look for heart. They look for a lot of different things in each one that's selected. And some of them are hard. Like when it comes down to it, to like last year, our Agape Award, like we had to have a panel of 10 people watch the final 2 films and score it because the judges were tied. And I'm like, I've never seen this before. This is going to be interesting. And it was literally 0.2 of a vote difference. I mean, and it was such a nail biter. I'm like, which one is it going to be?
I will be honest. I was excited to get the 5 nominations because, for my movie, because, that had never happened before. But I was like, but I didn't get Best Feature Film. I was like, what
it's hard. It's a tough competition.
Well, there were only 3 slots. And I was like, how can we get all these but not get that? And I was like, but I'm not, but at the same time, no, that's how.
That's how, like, so everything has to be so pristine to get in those 3 slots. And
I don't know, my sound was less than perfect. You don't have to.
It could be little things. Yeah. And Peggy, I love you so much, but she's like, Deborah, you've got to narrow it down to only 3, but it's hard when they're so close to one another. And that's where it's like, okay, fine. These 3 get the best short films. However, these over here did really good too. So how can we include all of them that deserve it? You know, and that's where you start to kind of
But I will also speak proudly that the only other film that got as many nominations as us was Treasure Lives. Was it? Is that one? So yeah, it was. Yeah, Treasure Lives. Because I went through. I counted it.
You counted them.
I wanted to know, and I do know that although my film is not faith-based, I feel like I got a really fair shake from you guys because the things that you did like nominate us for, I felt really I was, like I said, I wasn't shocked that Anna Maria got it, but just surprised because of screen time, you know. But you know, Judi Dench got Oscar for 9 minutes in Shakespeare in Love. So
there's a reason it happened the way that it did, you know, and that's one of the things that, like, because we have so many people involved behind the scenes now.
But it was really
that we got a lot of it.
Yeah, but I was thrilled. I didn't feel robbed. It wasn't like, or I didn't feel disappointed. There's a difference between feeling robbed and feeling disappointed, because sometimes you just want to win.
It's hard when you don't.
Yeah,
when you've got this.
Like even though I didn't get nominated at ICFF, I wasn't shocked because the episode that I submitted was the one with Stephanie Ray, the girl who sings the song at the end of Letters to Daniel. And she sung it on the show, but we had some technical difficulties because we were on Zoom. And I had COVID. You should have seen my hair in that episode. And I'm sitting in my bed and I'm not got a real perfect frame. So I'm just thrilled that it got an official selection.
Gotcha.
Right. And it's also, but that, you know, I like, you know.
Okay. So since you're unplugged,
yes,
I'm gonna ask you, like, from filmmaker to filmmaker. Okay.
Okay.
When do you make that decision of, I'm not going to let the rest of this world see this. I'm going to tuck it over here and we're going to reshoot that just because I need to. Or, you know what? I want it to be imperfect and let them see truth. Like, how do you make that decision between the two?
Okay. I have always been an open book, and my issue is not releasing it. Okay. I'm always ready, like, to send off a book or send off a script. Exactly how I message, like that one thing I messaged you about not being perfect, and I kept making corrections, and then I added like some stuff, right? So, but usually I don't do that with people. I usually like let it go, and if it's got too many mistakes, and if it doesn't work, and you know, I just let the chips fall where they may. But I have a polished version of that you have now, and I'm really proud of it, and it's getting made. And I'm thinking of submitting I wanted to submit one of either Aaron Miracle's or isn't that a great name, Aaron Miracle?
Yeah.
Or Linda Arnold's interview I did, but it's an hour and a half. It's a TV show, but I don't want to cut it because everything they said was important. But the time limit on the Branson one was 60 minutes. So I don't want to chop 30 minutes out because I think it'll, like, you know, when do I decide? And so I try to, you know, but I may enter Stephanie Ray's because her episode is 57 minutes. Sometimes it comes down to the runtime and what it qualifies for, and it's as simple as that, or how much money I got in my pocket and who do I want to support. And if the festival has supported me, like ICFF has supported me. Letters to Daniel got nominated. I wasn't shocked it didn't win. The script, I'm just talking about the script when it was just a script, but because it wasn't faith-based, right? So it'd be, I could see that they're looking for that
faith message.
Yeah. And if it's not there, sometimes I can't get over the hurdle. But The Guardian does have that faith message.
Nice.
And it asks, and I'm submitting the script, and
you used a keyword that I finally found something that you and I are different on, and neither one of us are right or wrong on it.
Right.
And you use the word polished, and I have a tendency to use the word prune because I grew up in farm country, right? When you prune back the branches, you get more growth, right?
Right.
But if you prune back the script too terribly much, I like how you use that word polished, because if you think about a diamond in the rough, it looks like a stone. You can't prune a stone. You can only polish it. You can only put it in the master's hands to let it get chiseled down. And chiseling hurts sometimes, but man, when you get that perfect cut of that perfect diamond.
Well, you should see, my manager was very proud, like the letters to Daniel Pilot. And I know there's strict rules about language and violence, and it's really hard when you're telling a story about mental illness. Yeah. Sometimes what I consider violence and what maybe someone who's in the faith-based community considers violence are two different things. On the movie guide review, I'm very proud that we had a nationally syndicated review. I didn't agree with their review system in some ways, but they said some really nice things about my film. So I'm just proud that and it was judged on the Hollywood scale, right? They're assuming I have millions of dollars to spend. They're not saying, oh, well, maybe if she'd had a little more money. No, I'm being like, right, WandaVision. Or, people may not want to watch that, but, that's just an example. And, but getting 2 out of 4 stars from, right. And there are 2-star reviews, and then there are 2-star reviews. Sometimes you can get brutalized in a 2-star review.
Yeah.
But we didn't. There were some things that they criticized, but for me, it was those things they criticized weren't important to me, but
can I talk to you about Christian content, or are we running out of time?
We've got about 6 minutes. Let's talk about it.
Okay, because it's something I wrestle with, okay? And the reason I wrestle with it is there's a verse in the New Testament about what you allow in your eyes, right? Okay. So, however, if somebody was going to make a movie about the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, they're going to have to see a king holding up a baby, telling 2 moms, okay, I'm going to rip this baby in half. Which one of you is going to get which half?
Yeah.
They're going to have to talk about David and Bathsheba. Yeah. Do they have to show everything? No. Some things can be implied, and you get the
closed door, as they would say, leave it at the closed door.
Yeah. So, but there's some things that Song of Solomon, dude, they'll talk about a romance novel.
Yeah.
So if we were being true to the Bible and what it talks about humanity so much. And for me, I remember, because when I went to college, I was born and raised in a Christian home. Okay.
Right.
When I went to college, I went through a situation that flipped the switch inside of me, and I just stopped caring about me. So I was dropping the F-bomb every other word, literally, because that's the crowd I was running with. But to my parents, they raised me up is that kind of language. You're being lazy with your words. Pick something different, Deborah. You know what I mean? And so there's certain things that I have convictions on. Right. There's not profanity in the Bible, but it talks about profane things. So obviously it happened. So I'd like to hear your take on the truth. Okay. If we made a film about the Bible, it would have violence, it would have sex, it would have death, it would have, the Passion of the Christ, you can't get much more violent than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So where's that decency line of, we're telling this story, because it is in the Bible. It is a Christian story, and we're going to tell it how it's written. And we're not going to hold anything back.
Do you really want my opinion on
Yeah,
this?
because you're Amy Unplugged. So, and I'm kind of a little more reserved now.
Okay. Well, I think, okay, so right when my back spasm is, like let's say it spasmed. I'll say what I said. I said shit, and I said it really loud. I didn't mean to. It was just, reflexive. And when I'm telling the story of Amy Lee McCorkle, who has bipolar disorder, let's get real. When you are in a manic rage, you do not say nice things. Yeah. You do not say please, thank you. I tried my best to edit it, or just to mute those words. But it is my opinion that if you're going to tell the truth, you have to tell the whole truth. And it's not, I do also agree, that profane words are, think of spices. Like, you don't want too much pepper, you don't want too much salt, but if it happened, you kind of have to put it in there. But my first draft of Letters to Daniel was littered with F this and F that, because that's what I was like whenever I was manic. Sure. But when I saw ICFF and they said, listen, this, and this, these are the rules. And I said, does it affect the story? Again, I said, I'm a writer and you tell the truth. And I said, well, if I don't, it's easy. If I can just cut the word out and it doesn't compromise the story, then I don't have a problem with that. But if the word, it's like you use them like not liberally, but sure, you sprinkle them in throughout the truth. And now, but I understand, certain festivals have their rules, and that's their right. They're a private entity, or even if they're a nonprofit, they're private. They're not run by the government. You're not afforded absolute First Amendment rights. If you want to submit, you have to follow their rules. So, but that's one of the less painful ones, I don't feel like, but if there's going to be, if I read the Bible and I was going to shoot a movie truthfully about the Bible, it would have sex, it would have violence, and it would have language, because maybe not every other word, but, sure. But because that would be the truth of this, that would be true to the spirit of what, at that least story. Of that story. And so sure. I'm very much about the truth of the story. John, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Do you got any questions? We might have to wait for him for a minute.
Technology is
there's a little bit of a delay. Yeah. For him. There he is. Hey, you got it.
And
I was, my back hurt. I didn't feel like I could set up and
I'm sitting here listening, and I'm like, it's over? It's over? What?
That means you were really engaged, or you're drinking some coffee.
You guys did great. It was a good interview. I think people could, obviously there was tons of promotion for every festival that you all are involved in, and a very great conversation at the end about just kind of the truth in terms of how do you tell the story, and different beliefs that people have regarding a lot of different topics, swearing and violence and all that kind of stuff, and how to represent it. So I think it's a cool struggle. It's definitely a cool conversation.
Were there any watchers?
We had a couple.
The stalkers that kind of pop in.
We had a couple pop in and out. But it never got over more than 2.
But you know what? It'll say how many we had, and then, of course...
Yeah, and then we're also on VIMM. So we're on VIMM. It's a decentralized blockchain platform, part of the Hive blockchain, and we're on YouTube for G1NBC Live.
Hey, how about we check my mail and see if a certain newsletter has dropped in?
And you had another talk show host, was one of them, Addie Ray. She's the one she's in Mobile, Alabama.
Oh!
She's going to be there Thursday morning, so you'll be able to talk with her a little bit.
Cool stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Addie.
Okay.
For tuning in and saying hey. Deborah, thanks for sharing and engaging. as best you could tonight
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
with social media. It's such a challenge with social media these days. You
and
have
a lot
to.
of people are kind of migrating off of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And with it being a Monday evening, a lot of them are tucking the kiddos in and
Like
you know,
here.
Yeah.
reading them another story. And
Amy
So-
used to always do the replay like on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
She stopped.
I stopped.
do you guys do you record it so you can repost it?
It's
or no?
repost. So we stream
Yeah.
on all three. We live stream on all three platforms at once, and it stays on all three platforms.
Nice. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, there's 3 different copies tonight.
Yeah, sometimes Peggy gets mad at me sometimes when I disclose too much behind the scenes, but Bentonville Film Festival is one I wanted to get in on, and it's just down the street from us because it's Gina Davis's For Women.
Oh.
and it's
As in-
specifically for women. It's a tough crowd, and when I submitted Tanny Como, I didn't get any feedback. It was like talking to crickets. I was like, I don't want to be that kind of festival. Like, I want to be engaged. I want them to know the truth. You know, it's expensive to do a festival, but it's worth it because it's going to help the filmmakers grow,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So that's what really matters ultimately.
And I love the story that you talked about with the people that came and how much they made, and like it was 3 months of their livelihood just to
I
come
would-
to your festival. That's so impactful to hear.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I would not invest that in my own world. Like it humbled my heart. Big
I
time.
couldn't. I don't think we could.
Yeah. And it's now that I'm learning different business principles, it's like, oh, so because I'm a planner too, so I'm learning to plan ahead. But it costs so much money, you know, you have to figure those things in advance. But we'll get there eventually, and until then we can just keep pushing forward.
So did you get a newsletter? Did you get anything?
No, not yet.
Oh, all right, everyone.
Newsletter for
I can't say.
oh doggone.
Well, then why are you checking it in the middle of the show?
Hey.
All right, everyone. We are not here next week.
No.
Sorry.
We're taking a break
We'll be back
for
soon.
1 week.
You're gonna unplug, huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then I'll get and that gives me time to
That's-
look up some new I think this is one of the best interviews I've done without a question list.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like freeform.
And
Yeah.
you'll be able to meet Peggy face to face, and she'll be like, Deborah drives me crazy some days. and
Deborah, it's good to meet you.
you as well.
Thanks for being
And
on
to your
Recovery
listening
Unplugged
audience
Live.
as well. Yeah. So they can plug in to you guys anywhere, free platforms.
Mm-hmm. G1 NBC Live, Amy Unplugged Facebook, and VIMM TV.
QNBC Live.
G1
G1,
G1.
Global One Network Broadcasting Company.
Cool but one.
Founded in Michigan.
What part?
Livingston. It's Howell
Over by
County.
Detroit?
It's close. It's close. About a half hour west. Half
My
hour, 40 minutes
husband
west.
Yeah, so my husband was born and raised in Lansing, and we lived in Grand Haven for about 6 years.
Cool.
Huge Red Wings fan I am.
There you go. Yeah, the local affiliate is contracted with the Red Wings alumni. So we do a
Nice.
bunch of events over there and tape
That's
a bunch
awesome.
of their games and
Yay.
stuff like that.
Well,
So,
it's
all
nice
right.
to meet you.
Good to meet you. All right, bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.